The cracks in the system are no longer just visible, they're gaping, and Keir Starmer stands at the centre of it all, floundering under the weight of his own failures. This isn't about politics anymore, it's the collapse of credibility, competence and integrity. Starmer's leadership has become a slow-motion disaster, dragging both the Labour Party and the country into chaos. His MPs are embarrassed and the public is left to suffer the consequences of his disastrous decisions. Take the NHS, a £22 billion black hole, record waiting lists and a workforce stretched to breaking point. This isn't a crisis, it's a catastrophe costing lives. Yet Starmer acts as if this is an unexpected disaster, not the result of his government's incompetence. His fingerprints are all over it, but he continues to offer tired excuses. People are dying in hospital corridors, surgeries are being cancelled, and staff are walking out in droves, yet Starmer deflects blame. The NHS hasn't collapsed on its own, it's his failure. Then there's immigration. Net migration is nearing 1 million, a figure Starmer himself championed. Now facing backlash, he's scrambling to shift the blame. The pattern is clear. Bold promises, disastrous results, and a refusal to take responsibility. The British public is no longer buying it. They see the chaos, incompetence, and a leader more concerned with his own survival than solving the country's problems. Yesterday's parliamentary showdown highlighted Starmer's failures. Keir Starmer delivered a brutal takedown, condemning his decision to slash winter fuel payments. Millions of pensioners now face a winter of freezing homes and empty wallets because Starmer chose quick savings over human lives. Baddick called the cuts not just heartless but dangerous, accusing Starmer of betraying those he promised to protect. Energy bills are skyrocketing, inflation is out of control, and the most vulnerable are left to fend for themselves. Starmer's response, a weak excuse about inherited problems, so incoherent it barely registered. The House erupted in outrage. Boos, jeers and laughter drowned out his feeble defence. Even his own party couldn't hide their discomfort. This wasn't just a bad day for Starmer, it was a public unmasking of his leadership failure. Baddick wasn't finished. She pointed to charities like Marie Curie, warning that Labour's budget cuts would devastate services for terminally ill patients. Starmer's silence was deafening. He had no answers, no defence, just a blank stare as his leadership crumbled. The rebellion within Labour is now impossible to ignore. Over 50 MPs have defied Starmer on key votes, with several resigning from frontbench positions. Farmers, charities and community leaders are speaking out, accusing him of breaking his promises. Even moderates who once supported him are turning away. One MP from a rural constituency, devastated by inheritance tax changes, delivered a scathing speech. "I'm no rebel," she said, "but I won't stand by while my constituents suffer because of this government's arrogance." Her words echoed the frustration of millions. Starmer's inability to unite his own party is a glaring failure, eroding Labour's credibility when it should be gaining momentum. Discontent is growing louder, and every rebellion chips away at his authority. How can a leader who can't unite his party expect to lead a nation? Reports are emerging that Starmer's team, terrified of losing the next election, is considering delaying it altogether, a desperate move that reeks of cowardice. Critics call it a pathetic attempt to cling to power. Even his usual excuse, the £22 billion economic black hole, has worn thin. The public wants solutions, and Starmer has none. Pensioners are freezing, charities are collapsing, and public services are being gutted. Yet Starmer stands there offering empty promises no one believes. Keir Starmer's closing remarks were devastating. People are suffering because of his choices. The economy is shrinking, inflation is rising, jobs are being lost due to his government's incompetence. Pensioners can't heat their homes, charities can't keep their doors open, and he has the gall to pretend this isn't his fault. The room fell silent. Starmer tried to respond, but the damage was done. This isn't just one bad day in Parliament. It's about a leader who has lost the trust of his party and the public. Starmer's promises have been exposed as empty rhetoric, and his inability to deliver is painfully obvious. How much longer can Labour survive with a leader who can't even hold his own party together? Starmer once promised to rebuild the nation, but now it's clear he can't even unite his own party. This isn't leadership, it's monumental failure, and the British people are paying the price.